You get a line, I'll get a pole, honey. You get a line, I'll get a pole, babe. You get a line, I'll get a pole, and we'll go fishing in the crawdad hole, honey, baby mine. Okay, I'm back. Everything is washed, scrubbed, painted, and everything else. And I've already put this thing together once, so hopefully I'll remember to turn the camera back on this time. So let's see what we've got getting this thing started. We're going to go through, we're going to put the spool together first. We're going to start off with this octagon shaped drag washer. It goes in the bottom. On top of that goes the white Teflon one. Now, these two washers here, they appear that they are the same, but in truth they are not. One of them is bigger than the other one. Okay, so if you set them side by side, you'll see that one's a little bigger than the other. Well, the one that is larger goes on top. The smaller one goes in right now. Okay, next goes an HT100 drag washer. These are brand new from mysticparts.com. Next goes the octagon shaped washer again, followed up by another HT100, followed up by that last keyed drag washer. And then we're going to slip in the retaining spring. And there we go. If you've got them installed correctly, they'll stay in. If you've got that smaller one on top, they won't stay in, they'll fall out. Or one of them will anyway, the top one. All right, we got that done. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to move on to putting the rotor back together. Okay, and this, okay, here's our rotor, and it's going to go in with the longer part facing outward. And if you look here, see if we can get this to, I'm afraid of breaking this plastic piece, so I don't want to take this part apart, but that should come off of there, and the screws would come out, of course. But first thing we got to do is get the spring to go down inside the hole down in there. And if you look down inside, let me turn on another light here. See if that helped any. Down inside this rotor, you'll see a post right there. A little short stubby post. And this spring is going to go on top of that post. Okay, so let's slide it down in there. Get it to fit over the post. Like so. All right, and it should stand up like that. Okay, now we're ready to put this guy in. He goes in with the long side facing out, the short side in. And if you look down here, see right there, there is a nub. And that spring has to fit with that nub down in the top of it. All right, so they're going to slide this in and get it to go down and fit that nub over just like that. Then we should be ready to get the screws started. Just hold a little tension. Okay, they got that side started. There goes the other side. If you've got it correct and nothing binding, you should be able to see that this is spring loaded. Okay. Put a little oil along the pivot point here, and that should be ready to go. So the next thing we're going to put in is going to be the bell wire. Now, what we're going to start off with, we've got two springs here, and the hard part here is knowing which spring goes on which side. Well, this side over here has got the trip, and this arm goes into a lock. If you look on this side, there isn't any kind of a lock anywhere. There's no slit cut in this for this arm to fit into. So if we look at this side, oh, there's the notch right there. See that notch? Well, that's the notch that's going to fit into there like that. Okay? When that's in that notch is when this bail is open. So that means that at that point, the spring will be loaded up with tension, which means when we unload it, it's going to rotate this direction. So we need a spring that when put in is going to load in the counterclockwise direction. And that's the way this one is. Okay, this spring here loads in that direction. This spring, if we go that way, it would open the spring up. Okay, and we want to close the spring down, tightening it. Okay, so what we're going to do is take this spring and we're going to fit this tag in that sticks straight out away from it into this hole right here. Okay, with that done, we're going to come back. I'm going to hold my thumb on this lever or finger, one or the other, on that lever to hold it down. See how I'm holding it down like that? Okay, and now we're going to take this tag in right there. See that tag? And it's going to go into that slot right there. All right, so we'll slide that in like so. And hey, look at there, everything's starting to fit together. Okay, so now we needed to get the screw in. So let's get the screw started in the hole. Okay, and it's catching on the shoulder of the screw. Adjust it around, there we go. And now, if the spring didn't fall out of the slot, this should be spring loaded. See how it is? And we bring it around, it should lock right there. Okay, that's got that half of the springs loaded for that side. Okay, now we're going to go back to this side. We've got the spring. We're going to take the part that sticks straight out to the side and put that in that notch right there. Push it down. Then we're going to take this one, and this guy goes in so that this arm right here is going to hit this bumper. Okay, so it will be in there like this. But in order to get it there, we've got to get the spring to go into that hole right there. So where the tag end that sticks straight up comes out, we've got to take that and put it into that hole in the arm. Like that. Okay, we're going to bring this around now to line up the hole for the screw. And we're going to get the screw started. There we go. We don't want to screw it down very far because we got to bring this around. And see this arm? We got to get this past this bump stop. Once it's past the bump stop, we should be able to pull it down and it'll hold there. But now we've got to get the shoulder to go into the arm. Like that. And if we've done it correctly, and the spring's not binding, we've got a nice snappy spring. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we've got to release this over here again. There we go, like that. And we're going to come over here, take our bail, take the nut off, and we're going to take the roller off, and we're going to give it a shot of oil. Slide the roller back on. Slide the bail in place and make sure that it aligns properly. It should be lined up right at the hole just as you get there. If you've got to pull it way off to get it to go in there, you've got a misaligned bail and you need to bend it to get it to line up properly. Okay, now let's see what we've got. Keep your fingers out of the way because this is a snappy bail. There we go. All right, that's got the rotor together. Now we're going to come back over here and we're going to, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our bushing in for the anti-reverse override on the body. Then we're going to take our eccentric. Here's our eccentric. And the shaft side of it goes down into the body. But this spring right here goes in that hole right there like that. See how it's held in that hole? And then we're going to take and grab hold of that spring with a pair of pliers. We're going to add a little grease to the spring and to the eccentric. And then we're going to set this eccentric down in here. Now this tag end of the spring over here has to go into, let's blow this up just a little bit. It has to go into that corner right there. That's where we want that spring to go to, right into that corner. Okay, so we're going to set this down in here. Set that spring in to where it's in that hole. And now, we're holding it in, I'm going to hold it in place with my finger, and we're going to rotate the eccentric around a little bit. And there we go. Okay, now we're going to be fighting it at that point to get it to go any further than that. Okay? So what we're going to do, I'm going to hold my finger on it, and which way would this have to go for this to tighten down? In this case, because the spring's on, if the spring were on this side over here, we would have to go counterclockwise to bring it to this middle point. But since it's on this side, we need to go clockwise to get it there. Since we got to go clockwise, then we're going to rotate this eccentric counterclockwise from the opposite side. Okay, so I'm going to put my finger on it to hold it all in place. And then we're going to take this arm, set it on here. And we want to go, come on, you can get on there. Right there. There we go. Okay, I said counterclockwise. Yes. We've got to go counterclockwise to get it to go in. And I pinched my finger, so, and I'll let this go. So we're going to move it back into position. There we go. We're still needing counterclockwise. Slip this on. Okay, counterclockwise. There we go. And you find that null point to where it'll hold itself. Once you get there, then you want to take this back off, turn it around the other way, slip it back on, and put your screw in. Be gentle with it, or you'll push it back out. Okay, now we should have a loaded eccentric. Spring is in the corner, and we're spring loaded. All right. Now, we're going to come back, and we're going to install the anti-reverse dog. Now, this spring is going to fit on over here. We're just going to slip it around the base of this post, like that, okay? And if you look carefully, see this little tag end that sticks up? Well, we want that to hook on the back side of this dog right here. Okay, so we'll set this in place. Let's flip the eccentric to its full extent up that way. Then we're going to take this, hook it on that spring, and slide it into place like that. And if you look, you can see the spring is on the other side right there. And if you activate the anti-reverse, see how it puts it out of the way? Just like that. And then there we go. So we're going to leave it in that position for installing the gear. Next thing we're going to install is the axle shaft, and it's been the pinion gear, and it's been well greased. We'll slide it in like so. The main gear has been very well oiled. We'll slide that in. And now we're going to install the trip lever plate and bearing retainer. All right, what I discovered is when I put the bearing retainer back in with the bail trip, I put it in so that it was right about here at this position right here. Okay. Originally, when I took it out, I noticed in the video it was up here at the top near the foot, and typically that's where bail trips are. But this bail trips differently than most other bails. Most bails trip when the line carriage portion or the line roller gets right at the trip position. Okay, so if it comes around, when it gets to right here, it would have tripped. Okay, well, the trip for this is on the opposite side because it's a dual spring and it's operating from the opposite side. So it's going to trip when it gets around over to here the way I've got it. So that's where it's going to trip, just like that. If I had put it back over here, the bail wouldn't have tripped back until it got to right about here, if I had put it there. And yeah, that will still work, but I would not have been real crazy about having it in that position. I wouldn't have liked that. So I like the position I put it in, which is correct. I don't know. It doesn't show in the schematic which way it goes in. So I'm going to leave it there because that's where I like it. And this is where it gets a little tricky, is I have difficulty getting these screws in. Hey, that one looked like it went right in. Hope it ain't lying to me. All I want is to get it started. All right. Now remember, this trip ramp goes right here at this corner right here. Okay, got that installed. Let's go ahead and put the rubber bump on. There we go, snap it into place. And I believe at this point we're ready to put the rotor on. Okay, we're going to push the pinion gear as far forward as I can hold it with my finger while we slide the rotor on. We're going to rotate this around until we line the flats up here with the flats here, and that'll make it easier to put this on. There we go. And we tighten down the rotor nut. Okay, and let's see if our bail's going to trip. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Next to go in is going to be the main gear, and what we have to do is determine which way the anti-reverse cog goes in. Does it go this way or does it go this way? Well, if you look at the teeth are designed so that they will rotate past the dog this way and catch going on in reverse. So this is the right way for it to go in. However, what you got to remember is when you go to do it, if you're putting it on here, it has to flip over as you put it on there. Now, the first time I tried to put this together, I didn't put any grease on here, and this all fell apart as I tried to put it in. So this time it's all greased and ready to go in. Okay, this is the thrust washer. We're going to put it on. And now we're ready to put our main gear in. Let's relieve the anti-reverse dog. There we go. And push this in. There we go. And we're going to put on this shim washer. and install this handle. That will hold the main gear in, keep it from falling out. All right. The next thing to go in is going to be the axle shaft. We're going to oil the axle shaft. Slide it in through the pinion. Rotate it around a little bit, make sure it's all well lubed. And now we're going to put the crosswind arm back in. We'll slide this in. We're going to rotate it around and line up the hole with the hole on the axle shaft and install the screw. Slide the screw in. And tighten it down. All right. Now, this will flip up out of the way, which is nice that it will do that. Okay? The one thing you want to make sure that you have is this bushing right here. This bushing is what gives you the proper spacing for your crosswind arm. If you don't have that bushing, you're not going to have proper spacing. Okay? Set the crosswind block in over top of the bushing. And now we're ready to put the side plate on. Set it in place. Okay, next thing we're going to do is put the spool back on. We oiled the clicker. Put that on. There we go. There's the clicker. Tighten down the drag knob. Get good drag. All right. Flip the bail. Look at there. Works like a champ. Okay, anti-reverse override is out functional. Put it in anti-reverse. All right. Now, let's wipe this off real quick. And there you have the Penn Spinfisher 704 saltwater reel. Oil point is right here. I've already done that twice. The other point is here in the handle. I've done that twice. And I hope you like the video. I like this reel. I am going to put it up on eBay and sell it, though. I don't need it. I don't have a use for it. So it's going to go. But I did want to clean it up. I didn't want it to go out to the rest of the world looking like it did. So it's got many, many, many years of life left in it now, and somebody gets it and takes care of it. So for now, that's Rick Stivers with Young Martin's Reels, signing out.